Good news is that it's very similar to lesson 6-2, where we multiplied fractions. So, just a quick review with a simple one. We'll start with one that doesn't need any factoring, even though it has variables. X over 2y divided by xy over 4. Now, you cannot cancel when it's in division form. You can only start canceling when it's been turned into multiplication. So for example here, y and y, you can't cancel them. So first of all, don't simplify, right? When we cancel, really what we're doing is simplifying. Don't simplify until it is in multiplication form. So we got to wait to simplify, knowing that we're going to turn it into multiplication form, because when we divide by a fraction, we leave the first fraction the same, and we change division to multiplication, and we flip the second fraction upside down to its reciprocal. Now we can start to simplify or to cancel numerator and denominators that have the same factor. For example, right before, if we had started canceling up here, we would have done the y's. But now that it's in multiplication form, notice you can't cancel the y's. They're both denominators. So that would have given you a mistake. We can cancel 1x and 1x. Technically, that makes 1. We can simplify the 2 and the 4 like we would a regular fraction. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. And making sure to capture everything that's left. We multiply it all together, so across the top is just 2, across the bottom 1 times y times y. Y times y is y squared. If you want to put the 1 in front, you can. Otherwise, 2 over y squared. So notice that as soon as we flip it to multiplying by the reciprocal, we're back to doing exactly the same as the last lesson. So let's take one that's a little bit harder. Now, I'm going to write it first as division. 8th grade, you know that I'm going to want you to write the problem. However, for your homework, you do not need to first write it as division like I have to give it to you here as division. In your homework, if you would like, and you are very careful, as you write it down the first time, you can change this to multiplication and you can flip the second fraction. However, you've got to make sure not to forget that step of flipping it over to its reciprocal. So here it is as the way it's going to be given. X squared plus 3x minus 10 over 2x plus 6 divided by x squared minus 4 over x squared minus x minus 12. Now we need to rewrite it, keeping the first fraction the same, changing it to multiplication, and flipping the second fraction to its reciprocal, so it just goes upside down. So what I was trying to say is if this was the homework problem, you can go straight to this step right here to write it down on your paper. Just don't forget to flip it over on the second fraction. Okay, now we need to factor. I'm going to start with the numerator on the left side. It is a trinomial. I'm going to try to reverse FOIL. If I do plus 5 and minus 2, my outer and my inner gives me positive 3x. My last gives me negative 10. Again, I'm not explaining each of the factoring and showing you all the outer inner. If you need help with that, let me know. 2x plus 6, I can factor out a 2, which will leave x plus 3. Right side numerator, again, it's a trinomial. I can try to do reverse FOIL. X minus 4 and x plus 3 will be the two binomials. Now this one combines a little bit of everything. We have 2 reverse FOIL. We have one where we just factored out a monomial. And this one, the difference of 2 perfect squares. X squared, the perfect square of x times x. 4, the perfect square of 2 times 2. 1 gets a plus, 1 gets a minus. Don't forget, difference of 2 perfect squares, opposite signs. That's why there's nothing in the middle. Negative 2x, positive 2x would cancel out. Okay, now we can start to cancel out things that are the same in the numerator and the denominator. I see an x minus 2 and an x minus 2. I see an x plus 3 and an x plus 3. Nothing else. So that leaves x plus 5 times x minus 4 in my numerator. Don't forget this 2 over here in my first denominator, and x plus 2 Alright, so like I said, just like the lesson we just did from 6-2, once we flip it over. That's it. That's it.